Back in the Hometown Motors Incorporated studio, Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue in Chillicothe, for your residential, commercial mowers, chainsaws, all kinds of handhelds to help you get the job done. Stop by and see Hometown Motors Incorporated. Coming up in just a moment, we'll talk about the Southern Ohio Forest Rally. It has been postponed. Will it run in 2020? Those answers coming up in just a moment with Jeremiah Johnson.
Cut in total professional comfort. Husqvarna. Available now at Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue, Chillicothe.
Good to have Jeremiah Johnson with us. He is the chairman of the Southern Ohio Forest Rally. And your event, you thought you had moved everything from May to June, felt pretty good about that. And then the pandemic came along, and we have stumbled into a situation where one by one, each race seems to be a casualty to this pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. We felt really good when with our June date. We had a lot of positive things going on. We had a national event. We had some really amazing people coming to the event that support. We had some awesome sponsors lined up, and then, as you said, the pandemic came, and with the current orders, there was no point in chancing it for June because we just don't know what's going to happen at the end of May, right? With the stay-at-home orders. So we took the initiative to go ahead and postpone it, and hoping we can fit it in potentially July, August.
I guess if anything, if you owned about 5,000 acres of your own, you could go ahead and do this. But most of your event is run on state forestry property, and you have to adhere to the state guidelines, and that's part of what has hampered this for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at ways to run the event with ARA, the sanctioning body, and working directly with the state. They've been absolutely fantastic in having me call a lot to try to sort things out. But in reality, a 10-person group is almost impossible. Now, we could limit spectators and things like that and do more online presence and live streaming to get the fans involved, but 10 people is just not realistic. I mean, it'd be very hard to do that. We are working again with ARA, who's working with NASCAR, IndyCar, as well as NHRA, to try to make it happen and come up with an actual safe plan to get people, still gets the racing to take place, get the competitors here, the teams, and still involve the fans at a distance. We don't want to, as I mentioned on some of the conference calls we've had with ARA and some of the other organizers across the country, we're lucky enough to be in a rural area where the pandemic hasn't affected us directly as much as what it has some of the other places like New York. I think the total cases in all the counties that we would touch is somewhere between 50 and 60, and the deaths, I think there's one, which is, it's a horrible thing, but it's a good scenario given some of the other cities across the country. So what we wouldn't want to happen is bring in 5,000-6,000 people and then our numbers go through the roof. That's just something we wouldn't want to happen.
Yeah. Playing it as safe as you possibly can. I know it'd be nice to see you be able to go to July or maybe August, but then you start running into issues in regards to the weather. And as we mentioned off the air, Ohio State football and things of that sort, but we don't even know if those things will take place just yet.
Right, we don't. We want to fit in on a weekend where we're not overlapping something else, because there's going to be a lot of people struggling to try to reschedule their events. All across the country, really. So we wouldn't want to conflict with another major rallying event or, other races. There's tons of 5Ks that have been put on hold. The Buck 50, was postponed. I believe they're shooting for July as well. And once things start, opening back up for public events like that, we want to, like I said, fit the weekend that works best for everybody as possible as we can.
What are you hearing from the race teams? Because I know they've got to be itching at it. They've not raced really since, late January was the last event run by ARA?
Yeah, that was it. There was a race, a small regional race in February, and that they got to run. And then the next national event was 100 Acre Wood in Missouri that was unfortunately canceled at the last minute. And they took a really big hit on that, because they just was so late, just the timing didn't work out. All of the competitors, including some of the bigger teams that I've been in contact with, they're ready to go. They've said this is something that they're not overly concerned. They want to make sure the community is good with them being here, and as long as those things are checked, then they said they would be here. Fortunately, it doesn't appear most of them have been impacted financially by the the pandemic, which is great for them. They just want to do the right thing, but they are, like you said, they're definitely itching to race. They're ready to go.
Yeah. One of the big draws for you this year is going to be the participation of Travis Pastrana, one of the biggest names coming back to rally racing. And is it possible that some of these guys will still, let's say you can get ready to go in July or maybe early August? Is it possible they can arrange their schedules to still participate, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I've been in contact with the Ken Block, the Hoonigan team. They're willing to adjust their schedule. They want to be here. The Subaru Rally Team of America, they're going to likely figure their schedule out with, as long as it's safe to do so. I believe they will be here as well. They're ready to go, and there's nothing else that they're really doing right now. So if we can get an event on, I'm pretty confident that all the teams are going to be here. It's the grassroots guys that I'm concerned about, because it's gonna, financially it's affected some of those teams, I know, more than the bigger teams.
Yeah. Well, and of course, everybody here is itching to get at it too. They want to be able to watch and spectate as well. For folks who want to follow along, just go watch your Facebook page where you have updates there.
Yep, we'll keep that updated. We're trying to, the website's updated. We shared some news last night after the official announcement, and just to kind of reiterate, how much we're trying. I promise our team's got hours and hours in phone calls, emails, messages, and we just, it's a tough situation for everybody, obviously, and we have, the desire to have the event because 2020 was going to shaping up to be a really, really big year. We even had some sponsors that we didn't even announce yet, that are just kind of waiting to see what goes on. And they were bringing some really neat things to the event as well. So, it's a balancing act. And again, you got to kind of follow what the governor's saying. And since we're state property on the forest, there's really no out. Like you said, if we had tons of acreage and private land, it might be a little different, but, we'll sort it out. And worst case scenario, 2021 is going to be even better. So we're trying to stay really positive, with everything going on.
Well, rally racing was dormant here for over 20 years, and you bounced back fantastically. So I got a feeling if you have to hold off for a year, that'll just give you more gumption and raring to go for 2021.
Absolutely. That's what we're thinking. Like I said, we really want to have something this year, but if the cards don't line up, it is what it is. And given the situation, I don't think there's any reason to get too down on things, right? If we don't have to. So just try to spin it as positive as we can.
Southern Ohio Forest Rally, Jeremiah Johnson, the chairman. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Dan, thanks for all your support and appreciate the time.